Well, Mike, first things first, thank you for showing up and being here today and giving us your time. Um, how's the roads been for you today?
Well, I stayed the night at Kohler Lodge,
Okay.
and last time I was here, I met up with you guys. I stayed there, and I was just like, the shower sold me.
Yeah.
They had this like really unique shower experience. I was like, can't go anywhere else. So I stayed there, avoided the snowstorm that's hitting here now. That hit Minnesota yesterday.
Okay.
So it's been kosher so far.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the Kohler showers
Yeah.
and all their pleasantries for the bathroom,
Yeah.
for sure. Shout out Kohler. No, I figure, hey, if we want to just jump right in, if you want to kind of introduce yourself, who you work for, and tell us a little bit about your background within the hemp-derived THC industry.
Yeah, so my name is Mike Gawlik. I own Natreum, Natream, or excuse me, Natreum. And I started this wellness company with actually R&D into CBD products, but not just specifically CBD. We were exploring like CBG, CBC, CBN, all the other phytocannabinoids. And we started off actually making a balm, a topical. And I was struggling with osteoarthritis, inflammation, couldn't clap my hands above my head. And I started applying this topical, and within one day I had full range of motion. Not that it was permanently healed, but the inflammation was drastically reduced. At that point, I knew I had to get into the business. And that's the short version of the story. Natreum wasn't birthed until 2022. But the R&D was started early in 2018. So,
Wild.
yeah. So, and really the Farm Bill is what got us into it, right? Like releasing all the peer-reviewed research and everything was just like, we got thirsty at the chomps and we're just like, we got to look into this. Like there's more than just getting high to this stuff. So
truth. Very much. So just a little background for you on my side. Like I had never really worked in the industry and I was a fan of the industry from personal use. But when I jumped into it, Brandon actually pulled me into it and kind of was just like, hey, I know you like the industry. You want to come check it out? So came and checked it out, fell in love very quick. But I came in thinking like, oh, this is going to be all for recreational people, the stoners out there who want a legal option that they can purchase safely and consume. Very quickly was not the avenue I realized. And actually, you mentioned the balms. We have a balm, and the balm has probably been my personal favorite item. But then even like when I talk to consumers, it's like, if they're going to do anything for like a recreational, not for recreational, for medicinal purposes, typically it's the gummies or the balms. And the balms are just so good for centralized pain, especially. So if you were dealing with shoulder stuff or anything like that, it makes sense to use that.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to my business partner, Melissa. I've never seen somebody work so hard studying research. Every day from, sun up to sundown, she was researching, trying new ways to execute how these phytocannabinoids work. And I believed in her endless study. So this company wouldn't be where it's at if it wasn't for her. So yeah.
Heck yeah. So do you now, would you say you're a consumer of the beverage side of things too?
Absolutely. Actually, I don't smoke at all.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't smoke at all. I just actually drink it, and I rarely even do that. THC has a very adverse effect on me. But I absolutely enjoy drinking CBG. I love drinking CBC. If there's a kicker with THC, so one of the products you guys carry right now is the mini soda. The mini soda's got a blend of those three cannabinoids. And where we sell it, we call it giggle juice because the CBC aspect is it has a moderated amount of CBT in it, which is known as a polycannabinoid. So it's got a heavy mood elevation. And then the CBG is naturally euphoric, right? So the THC in culmination with that supercharges that effect, and you get what we call giggle juice. So
is that trademarked?
No, it's not.
I'm gonna be saying that to people all the time now.
No,
with the seltzers and stuff.
Yeah, by all means. Yeah, actually, so in our stores we host events like comedy shows.
Okay.
And at our stores when we have these comedy shows or even dating comedy shows, we sell out of that product. It's one of the keynote products to sell, and people are just all over it. You can hear the laughter, just outbursts, right? And yeah, it's a great time.
So kind of a weird question to piggyback into there, because you mentioned like at the stores or at the like comedy shows and stuff like that, you're selling it. Do you know, or have you seen any kind of like correlation between alcohol sales and the THC infused sales? Like, is there more of an uptick into the THC side, especially being a comedy show? Like in my head, I'm like, yeah, when I go to a comedy show, usually I get drinks, but they don't have an infused option. If they had infused options, me personally as an individual would probably go that way. So now I'm just kind of curious on like the general sense of it.
Yeah, so you're asking a great question, which there's a law called crossfading that Minnesota introduced, and crossfading essentially allows you to use both beverages.
Okay.
That wasn't the case the first year. So you had to choose, and the bartender had to be sharp enough to know, like, I gave this person that drink. And the biggest complaint was keeping tabs on that was difficult. But what we did see was beer sales absolutely diminished. And then spirits started getting diminished as well.
Okay.
And so actually Minnesota came out with a report at the end of every year for top sales and alcohol beverages used for the holiday events. And second and third was finally replaced. These spirits were finally replaced by THC. So now, there's a massive wave of NA already happening away from alcohol. And now the fact that people can have an experience that's socially accessible has dynamically changed the front. So because I also own this distribution company, we're distributing to bars and events and stuff. And there is a major swing change. I think if I was in alcohol business, I would be very scared. And that's, we're seeing massive replacements of aisles in liquor stores, like full aisles that were dedicated to hard spirits and beers being fully replaced. So
as an advocate, I love it.
Yeah.
Like I think it all has its time and place, depending on who you are. Moderation is key. But for somebody who has been a fan of the industry for so long, to hear you just be like, aisles that were dedicated to alcohol in the past are now getting clean swept for seltzers and different infused drinks. Like, that's all you can hope for the industry. So.
Yeah. Well, and so when I'm out here prospecting, say like in Eau Claire or Eclair, however they pronounce it, but
I got
you know, they're so far behind on accepting these drinks. And I think whatever company is going to jump on this, like you guys have, you guys are going to sweep the board early, right? And like in Minnesota, when I opened up my store, the liquor stores didn't want to get on board, right? They had their lane, they wanted to stay in it. So what we did was we focused on every mom and pop shop that provided a drink. And we had over 200 beverages accessible. And that really gave us a major leap ahead of the market. And what was nice is it curated a story that we supported local, and all the mom and pops that felt misplaced, because, you know, you have these big breweries that can get anywhere at any time. We gave a spot for the mom and pops, and now we represent them through distribution. So it's given them a leg up. Yeah.
Terrific. And I mean, I think a key aspect of that I see or hear when you kind of broke that down to me is the community involvement side of it. Like with the nature of our business, it gets met often. Like when I first started with our company, joining a chamber of commerce was not very easy.
Right.
We would try to join. They'd kind of knock us down because of the nature of the business. But over the last 3 years, I've seen it opening up. And I think a big aspect of that is a lot of our stores have been very active in their communities with trying to do different events with different businesses, or reaching out to the smaller businesses in their cities to try to build some good business to business relationships, and then kind of bringing it back from that point. So the fact that you guys focused in on the mom and pop shops, especially when you were kind of not getting blacklisted, but the cold shoulder in a sense, is a great alternative route to have gone.
Yeah. So actually you bring up a really interesting point about the community aspect. So when I started Natreum, we came out with a whole different style of a store. So if you look online at our store, it looks like a bar. It's got a whole different feng shui than your typical walk-in white walls. It is art. There's plants everywhere. You could sit down and you can work, you can have your beverage, etc. Right? But here's the crazy part. So when we created that, we drew tons of attention from all types. I had a friend of mine who was a St. Anthony police detective. You could see the PTSD on his face, and he started using our like CBD, CBC, CBG products, and his life was changing. He was starting to see that how triggered he was. I mean, this is a guy that was going to like cases where there were people deceased, and ranging from babies to elderly, and that does damage to the brain. He ended up quitting and opening up a shop, opening up another Natreum. And so what we did was we started branding all these other guys that were wanting life-changing experiences and offering new communities. Now the state ended up issuing a trademark law. I grew into about 11 stores, and the state issued a trademark law, and I felt like it was targeted. So they all converted their name into something else, each guy, but we still kept that community. And that's how I actually started distribution, was through that network. And then what I did was I encouraged the guys to create their own product. And then we started like supporting one another. And then it just kind of
became a whole thing.
Yeah, it became a whole
That's
thing.
awesome.
So it's almost like success on accident, but almost ordained or planned that way. So I don't know, but take it as you will.
So I guess if we flip the script on that, like the success of that, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges you've been facing on the producing side and the distributing side of the THC beverages?
Yeah. So I think we were just talking about downstairs, but systems not talking to each other. So we have like business in general looking at us like we're cannabis. So they want to charge you. So you have an accountant will look at you, be like, oh, you're cannabis. Like, no, we're hemp derived. Well, I'm going to charge you cannabis pricing. Like, no, you're not, And so you've got these special counsel that want to charge you cannabis pricing, which is much more than what you would get from a hemp business. The second thing is hemp services. So inventory management systems, POS systems, like people aren't understanding that this is federally illegal, and you should be able to use standardized systems that connect together. And then I'd say the final point is the education. There's still a stigma. And even though, it's been since 2018 that hemp has been legalized, right? We are like still stuck. Like we were just joking about a town being stuck in the 90s and 2000s. We're still stuck there.
Yep.
And people are coming in, they're like, oh, is this just CBD? And like, you're like, no. Like we've gotten to the point where we can functionally create a whole high for you that you desire. It's now to that point, right? Where you want to be a creative artist and you smoke pot for that, but you don't always get that same experience every time you smoke. We now have the ability and the science to do that. And so we're doing that through their drinks, and we're doing that through the product, which is a whole new like concept of business.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Just even you highlighting the, like, now we can like the getting to the point of being able to create a specific type of product or vibe of a product that somebody's looking for, and like tying that back to education. I think that's something you probably see on a consistent basis. I know we see it on a consistent basis. It's like, even when you try to break down what Delta 8 is versus Delta 9 versus Delta 10 or THCA, most times if people are like, if I don't say it's just THC, the educational platform is at the ground level. Like, so I'm like, all right, well, now we got to try to even work in the concept that Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, they're all organic cannabinoids aiming at different aspects of what you're looking for. So
yeah,
it can be a rough game, but even in the drink side, like breaking it down to people and getting that eye-opening reality kind of shift of, you want a specific type of consistent vibe, we can make that now.
Yeah, I think let's throw some wrenches into the gears here. So to make this even more complicated, there's something called an entourage effect. And as you know, when cannabinoids start working together, they start compounding and they become more effective. And what's even crazier about that is the application of the noid makes it also a different experience. So topically versus inhaling versus drinking, all different experiences. And I think as a consumer, what we want to know is what is our intended use, right? So when someone comes into one of my stores, I've educated my sales staff to say, the number one question you need to be asking your consumer, what is the intended use? They tell you recreational, you know it's just for fun. Other than that, they're going to spill the beans on everything else, right? And it could be for an applicant for maybe knee pain, maybe they experience headaches, maybe they just want to chill out. But either way, because we have all these entourage, or what I like to call Red Rover experiences, we now can curtail this, going back to that educational experience into a new experience of a product. So I think, like, as this industry grows and as we learn more about cannabinoids, I mean, when I started studying them, we started studying about like six, the major five, and then there was like, we had CBDA, CBDV, CBGA. We just like kept doubling down on these studies. Now we're at 171 cannabinoids that have been recognized in the plant, and all of this is still not released. Like, they're still looking into CBL and CBT, and I don't know. I'm so excited for this journey because we're all on the like very beginning stage of this.
Heck yeah.
So
tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people all the time. And we're going to start seeing more and more of it as time goes on. So, I mean, you kind of touch a few different points in there that I kind of want to tie two questions to, which is, first off, with new products, are there any types of earth-breaking innovations that you see coming through in the drink game, like anything different or big that you can speak on? And then two, afterwards, because it ties decently with something, if there's anything new coming through, what's your process with a new product? Like, I don't mean for you to go like hyper specific into detail, but like from starting point A to finish point B, what does that process look like?
So when we speak on process, are you implying how do we verify
R&D,
something?
like
R&D?
Like say you guys, a new innovation is coming that you guys
Yeah.
have on your radars.
Yeah.
What's going to be your process to roll that out into an item, like just from your side?
Yeah. So I think it's all about niches, right?
Okay.
Like, so right now, when I look at the state of our industry, whether it's cannabis or hemp, what I've gathered is that THC is now the primitive aspect of the industry. If you're still making a THC drink, you might as well throw your money into the fire. Like, that is the most honest answer I can give you. Do not make another THC drink. Here's why. Minnesota alone has figured out a way to get rid of all of the distillate taste and make a high performing, amazing tasting drink. What does that mean? That means that anybody else now can access that ability to do that. Minnesota alone has 300 plus brands of drinks that all taste amazing, can fit any palate, any juice, any pop, any seltzer, you name it. That means the barrier to entry is very low, but that also means the chances of you burning your money are very high. What you want to do is start looking into the functional stuff, right? How do I combine electrolytes into a cannabinoid? How do I tie, I never pronounce this right, but L-arginine, or I can never say it right, but how do I tie that into a noid, right? How do I take the natural wellness of life and tie noids together so the endocannabinoid system can operate on a higher functioning level? And so what we're finding out as we are, like, for us, we have a product that we're going to roll out very soon, and it's a wellness water, and it's got a multifunctional cannabinoid non-THC experience. And my target is to take on like liquid death.
Okay.
Right. So like, we're going to be rolling out canned water. Canned water is not fun, right? Like, there's nothing fun about it, but what's going to be fun is the fact that we have something that could be sport derived or creative derived. And that kind of water is going to really change the dynamics of how we ingest water. And my entry point is going to be super low. It's going to be $2.99 for the consumer. I'm not going to make much money on it, but I'm trying to fight the water companies, right? How we're deriving that is from a artesian well. It's going to be lightly carbonated. So it's going to have a nice, nice touch to your palate. It's not going to be flavored. I want to get away from flavors because you eliminate your entire audience at that point. Like you make a lemon, guess what? The lime crowd is never going to try the lemon. So I am looking for the functional aspect. My goal is to offer the base level functional experience. Everyone else can go for those flavors, can go for those higher functional experiences. Like I want people to have full access. So that is my process. Is I'm looking for these niches that are lost among people, because I could take that water now and I can go to any gym, right?
That's the first thing that popped into my head was I go to the gym, try to go 3 to 4 times a week. If I can get it more, I will, right?
Yep. But
usually I smoke before or after. Right. And I'm like, oh man, if you have a water I could just take with me.
Yeah.
Ideal.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a buddy of mine in Chicago. He's making poured packets, right? You can put in it. Now, I love that idea, but the problem is like for me, I open those packets, they get everywhere. This ain't a diss on my buddy's product. Like I love his product, but like I would just rather have a drink. And if it's just plain water, I can put my own creatine in there. I can put my own electrolyte in there. I can put whatever I want. It can be flavored however I want to my liking. And so that's kind of our aim with that water. The rest of the industry though, like I'm still seeing people come out with like a THC seltzer. And I'm like, man, like, do you know how many seltzers are out there already? Like seriously, just don't do it. If I could tell anybody, don't make a regular THC drink. Don't.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair wisdom to impart on anybody who's looking to get into the industry, especially with how big the beverage side is starting to boom. And you specify like looking for those niches that are out there that can still be heavily touched that people aren't looking at is absolutely the fair way to go about it.
Yeah. Well, we're so early in the stages of this. I went on stage in San Francisco and debating Big Canna about the hemp versus the cannabis industry in the drink form. And Big Canna was talking about, well, we're going to do this with Coca-Cola and that. And like, nobody wants to support Coca-Cola. Like not even like normal people who don't consume cannabis want to support Coke. Those companies have really extracted as much value into everything we value as America, like small business, as possible. And like we now, like in whether you like RFK or not, like the message of having better health resonated with Americans, right? And we're now all looking at that. The cannabis industry, like, yeah, we all like to get high, but we're all doing it because it helps our headache. It helps our stress. We've got a nagging significant other, right? Like we just want to escape these realities. And I think like the beverage industry, it's going to take a third of the market. I mean, we're already seeing like flower sales diminish because of drinks being a viable option now. So the other thing is the crowd, the demographic that it touches. We're noticing that it's actually like 35 and up. It's not the 20-year-olds. It's not even the early 30-year-olds. It's the crowd that is like 35 and up, out at a social gathering. Maybe it's business, maybe it's family, those types of functions. That's where it sells.
Again, makes sense to me. I don't go to the bar.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody that goes out to the bar because I don't drink. I drink special occasions. Definitely am much more of I would smoke every night rather than drink every night.
Right.
But that puts me in some weird spots with like buddies and my friend group, because I am friends with people who are a little bit older than me. They still try to push the bar scene. They still like to drink, go out and drink. So when they invite me out, it's like, yeah, I'll come out for a half an hour or so because I'm not going to drink. And I personally don't necessarily want to just surround myself with a bunch of drunk people that now I'm going to have to either babysit or deal with the whatever following repercussions might come from that. Where if I could go out and get a seltzer, I can still partake in the social. You'd mentioned it as like the social aspect of it. So it actually does make sense to me that it's not so much the younger bar going group, like demographic you would usually tie it to. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, it's those people who are now living life, have families, don't want to punish their body as much and want to still participate in that social aspect. So I think that's a very on point statement.
Yeah. The only time I've I've had an experience with a THC drink that feels more body related is when it's tied to CBD or CBN. All the rest of the drinks, whether it's a standard THC drink or it's THC with CBG and C or thereafter, it all feels like champagne. It like, it's bubbly, it's fun. You just laugh. You just have just a certain level of joy, you know. And I would encourage anybody that if you're just going to try a drink, start low. Do not start high. Like the 25 milligrams make no sense to me. Besides, like, maybe we could go back to that, like what advice we could do. I mean, don't be afraid that if you smoke every day, don't be afraid to think that a 5 or 10 milligram drink can affect you, because it's a water soluble experience, which means it hits so much faster. It does not pass the liver, right? So you're that rush, it's like a roller coaster. It goes straight up, you get stoned, and then you come straight down. So that point of entry and that explanation of champagne, it makes it pretty easy to sell to people that have never tried it. And what I've done with our store is people who are still on the fence, I just give them a free drink. And I think about, like, I ask them like their flavor palette. I give them a free drink. They always come back. It's inevitable.
Trust the product.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
no, on point. I used to, and I'm going to just tie it back to another personal experience, is when we first opened up, I came into it thinking here for recreational use people, right? But once they come into the store and you can give them that, like, I used to tell people, well, if you buy the product and you're this hesitant right now, if you go home and you try it, you don't like it, come back tomorrow. I'll give you a refund. And that was me I'm going to just do it, because at the end of the day, I trust the product and I trust that they will probably be back in, but to buy something. And that typically was the result. Like, it's never going to be perfect, but on a grand scheme, if you trust your product and you're producing a quality product in general, have faith in that and lean into it a little bit. So no, I think that's a hell of a way to do it, and a good pitch in general. Just the champagne aspect, I'd never thought about that for the avenue of it, but actually makes a lot of sense. So,
but you also have to think, like, almost everybody's had alcohol.
Yeah.
And everyone's got their choice of alcohol and they have their reason why they use alcohol. But ultimately, like, the number one drink that's served at the happiest moments, it's champagne. Celebration, right? So, like, using that explanation is a really great selling point, because people want to feel good about what they're doing and they want to feel good in the moment. So
on point.
Yeah.
No, that's it is the most celebrated drink, probably. Yeah, that's wow. All right, so then I got two more questions for you.
Sure.
One is for anybody who is viewing this, watching it, or tuning in, how can listeners find your products and stay up to date with what's next for your guys' company?
Oh man. So full disclosure, our website's trash. And you know, I'm not proud of it. We're actually redoing it. It'll be relaunched here in a couple weeks. And you know, I would prefer that if they're going to support us, that they support you guys, because we carry the same drinks you guys carry. So if you're close to a dispensary, I would highly suggest grabbing a Crescent River. I would highly recommend grabbing a mini soda or a Wicked drink. The other thing is you can go on Natreum.com, Natreum.com, but don't trust that website just yet. It looks so bad. It's not us. Yeah, you could do that too. So
fantastic. And when we post this, I'll make sure we take it in there. And then if you keep us updated when the page is updated, we can adjust it that way too.
Cool.
So, and then I don't know, finally, any extra thoughts or insights that you'd like to share with us or the audience, just about the industry, about your business, anything extra?
Yeah. So I think what everyone that's listening, or anyone who just consumes, what you should wake up to is cannabis is changing. It is no longer the 1940s, the 60s, the 80s, or 2000s. We're in the mid 2000s. The science is very clear that we can alter your high. We can give you what you want now. And do not let big pharma take that away. Because right now what's happening, and I've been trying to be a very strong political advocate for cannabinoids to be accessible. Do not let Big Pharma take this away. So currently right now, what's happening in Minnesota is there are rumblings of the medicinal dispensaries trying to get cannabinoids pushed into only dispensaries, which is super dangerous because the argument for Big Canna, they come in and they'll say, this is for access, right? We want public to have access. But then all of a sudden, cannabinoids are now accessible at a chiro clinic, at a grocery store, at a health and wellness store, and it's doing really well. It's taking from their business model. So what do? Oh, well, we need to consolidate because we're the professionals, right? And so I think the takeaway is this information right now, it is totally free. We have it on the internet. Just go to peer reviews and Google. It is completely accessible. And if you're going to a place that isn't teaching you about CBG, at least the major five, your CBG, your CBD, your THC, your CBN, and then your CBC, then you got to find another place because these things are now regularly available. They help so much, and you can get the custom high. I want to emphasize the custom high you want from these products. So do your research, find out who your neighborhood hope, what I like to call hope dealer is, and try to support local. So
couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So appreciate those last words. And again, I just want to thank you very much for coming on, giving us your time, giving us your perspective, because it's something I talk about with people a lot, and just to see different avenues of the industry, whether it be solely distribution or beverages or smokables or edibles. I think it's something, the more information we can pump out to the public for educational purposes, the better off the industry is going to be. So again, very much thank you for your time, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah. I hope to do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right.